This is where Genesis 2 starts, and we finally got there. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Well, you know, there's some archaic thinking in there. The breath is life, right? That's psyche, that's spirit, that's inspiration, that's respiration, that's all associated. It's pneuma, like pneumatic tire. It's breath. And the reason that people associated life with breath, well, that's not so foolish, you know. I mean, you're breathing, man, and it's something you do all the time. And when you die, you stop breathing. And so the idea that there's something integral to life about breathing is a perfectly reasonable supposition. It actually happens to be very true. And then to associate the act of creation with the act of, first of all, inspiration and respiration and the breathing of life into something that was inanimate is, well, what do you expect for a one-sentence description? It's not a bad one-sentence description, you know? So, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And Eden means well-watered place. And that's particularly relevant, I suppose, if you're a desert dweller, right? Because the issue there is, can you get enough water to make things grow? And so the walled garden, which is paradise, is also Eden, which is a well-watered place. And water has the element of chaos. We already saw that in relationship to Genesis 1, where the underlying chaos was often assimilated symbolically to water. And so the idea, too, is that a certain amount of chaos has to be brought into the order in order for it to be fruitful. And you can see that in the form of allowing in the water. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So two trees are marked out among the rest. One is the tree of life, and one is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, you know when you read something like that, if you're thinking about it, that you're in a metaphorical space. Now, we've got to be careful about metaphors, because, you know, I could say and did that the chaos order idea is a metaphor, but then I also said, well, wait a second, it's a metaphor, but it's also what your brain is adapted to. And so, you know, let's just not be pushing the idea that it's merely a metaphor too hard. And the same thing is happening here. These are metaphors, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But that doesn't exactly mean that they're mere metaphors, because sometimes, as I mentioned before, if you have a set of things and you abstract out from them a common element, you can make a strong case that the common element is more real than the set of things from which you abstracted it. That's the whole utility in abstraction. Why would you bother with it otherwise? If you can't take a set of things and say, look, there's something in common across this set of things that's more important than the differences between them, then you wouldn't bother abstracting at all. And so the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil are abstractions. Now, one of the questions is, this is a tough one, man. I tried to figure out for a long time why a fruit and something you eat would be associated with the transformation of psychology, because that's basically what happens in the Adam and Eve story. Why would it be something that you eat? Now, Eric Neumann, who was one of Jung's students, had written a fair bit about this and got a fair ways with it. And he said, well, you know, we've noticed forever that the act of eating, especially if you're hungry, especially if you're starving, produces a rapid spiritual transformation, right? I mean, some of you, this is worth knowing, you probably have a crabby partner or child, because everyone does. And one thing you might try is that if they get erratic during the day and, you know, get all volatile about nothing at all, just give them something to eat. Really, I'll tell you, man, this solves, I do this with my clinical clients all the time. It's like, they say, well, I fly off the handle at the littlest things. It's like, okay, yeah, just try this for a week. When you're crabby and unreasonable, eat a piece of cheese or eat a peanut butter sandwich. Eat something that's high protein, high fat. And then just wait 10 minutes and see if you're sane. And you'll find out that you're sane after you eat so often that you just can't believe how crazy you are when you're hungry. Look, it's really absolutely bloody remarkable. So I'm telling you, try this. It'll especially if you don't eat breakfast. This will change your life.